Really nice of you to join us today. I know some of you are welcoming back today after our first episode that we had last month. So this is episode 2, and More Than Tyres is a webinar series for the auto industry and professionals that we wanted to keep everyone connected, and that's the reason behind this webinar series. So we'll be rolling these out every month. We've actually got a couple this month for you. George is going to go into that with you very soon. So George Green is the marketing manager from TyreConnect, and he'll be jumping in intermittently today with a few questions for Will. So good morning, Will Ferguson. Will is the general manager of Doncaster Hyundai there in Melbourne, and he's an expert in his field. So anyone that's on this morning, if you've got any questions at all, you'll see on your screens, there's a little message box there. So if you've got any direct questions that you would like to ask Will, George, or myself, you can pop them into the box, and then we'll ferry them across and we'll answer them in a Q&A at the end of the session. If there's any questions that we need to answer prior to then, of course, we'll jump in and answer them for you. However, he's got a few slides to get through today. And this is all about servicing the departments there, keeping them busy and profitable during this stage. It's things are looking up though, so there's a lot of changes throughout the states now. So it looks like we're coming out from underneath the COVID covers, so to speak. And we're going to be back on the roads again very soon, which I'm sure we're all planning our next adventure, which we're going to need our Hot Wheels for. So I'm going to hand this over now to Will. So good morning, Will. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, guys. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. As Bonnie said, so just running through some things that are definitely going to help keep your service departments nice and busy and profitable. And look, definitely through this COVID period and also just in general, really. So it's this is not particularly. I haven't really noted these down to be particularly to be used throughout the COVID period. It's more just general business, and definitely relevant throughout this period as well. So appreciate you guys all having me. Thank you for your time, and I hope I don't bore you too much. I guess just to give you a bit of a brief about me. So I jumped into the auto industry about 2005. Started off as an apprentice mechanic, just in a private workshop, light vehicle, and then 2 years later moved into the dealer world, a big Ford dealership, City Ford in Melbourne, and pretty much eyes were open there as to where this career could lead me, and I was pretty driven to kind of move into senior management roles as soon as I could, and from there did a bit of service advising after completing the apprenticeship, and went on to manage a City Mitsubishi. Then I moved over to with AHG, managing their City Holden site, and from there moved to the Penfold Group, who I'm very lucky to be part of. They're a fantastic organisation, very much about their people and invested in their people. So I was managing their ended up managing their two Mazda service departments, one in Burwood, one in Hawthorn. And from there, early this year, was given a new role. So I'm the general manager now of Doncaster Hyundai, so part of the Penfold Group as well, and really enjoying it. So it's great to be part of the other areas of the business. So finding it very interesting. So yeah.
So Will, obviously you've got a lot of industry expertise there. So as we take these slides and go throughout, obviously you'll be answering and going through some of these tips for the service departments and how to keep profitable during these stages. So again, I just want to welcome everyone onto that chat page, and any questions that you might have for Will. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. So please feel free to get those questions in there so we can answer them at the end of the slides.
All right, perfect. So look, I'll just move on to just to our first tip here, where I've got, don't say no to your customers. Now, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, I wouldn't say no to my customers. I'm accommodating, and you may very well be. But what I mean by this is your business is very possibly saying no to your customers on a day-to-day basis. Now, this might be through just processes and restrictions that you may have put in place, or someone has put in place. And what it may be causing is your team, your service advisors, your receptionists, booking staff will be turning away customers essentially through saying no to certain requests. So I guess to kind of give you a bit more of an idea, look, this doesn't mean say yes to everything that your customers are requesting, but more find a solution to their requests, to their needs, to their requirements. Rather than, nah, sorry, we can't do that. We don't offer that. It's not something we can do. And make it easy for your customers to do business with you. Otherwise, essentially, they're just going to take their business elsewhere. All right. So, look, if you find your customers' requests are unrealistic, then you and your team need to offer alternatives and compromise with them. We really need to, I feel, as an industry, move into the current times, and to do that, we need to listen to what our customers are requesting. So, if you look at how we operate as a business, and essentially, more so the customer experience when they come in, it really hasn't changed much over the past few decades. Probably very similar to how it was run. The customer experience is probably very similar to how it would have been in the 80s, in my opinion, in a lot of service departments. So we really need to move with the times and come up to kind of the standard that we should be. If you look at other industries, they operate completely differently to how they would have only 10 or 20 years ago. Whereas we're kind of, I feel, stuck in a bit of a rut as an industry, and need to really move on that, and listen to what the requests of our customers are. It might be simple things, just picking up vehicles for elderly people that don't want to or can't drive, especially during this period. We need to be flexible, and like I said, just make it really easy for our customers to do business with us.
I was just gonna ask, Will. Do you think that the current times have sort of really brought that to the forefront for dealerships? So you're saying, make it easier for customers, all about convenience and sort of using technology to improve the service experience. Do you think these times have really accelerated that and sort of put the highlight on it?
Yeah, so I think they have. I think they have in a lot of different service departments. They probably haven't in all of them. But obviously, I've seen an increase in online bookings through this period. I've seen the demand for picking up and dropping off vehicles and having enough service demonstrators or loan vehicles to give to our customers has definitely increased. And yeah, that's definitely had a bit of a change in recent weeks and couple months. Definitely. So we definitely I just always see I see it a lot. We're often turning people away. We're just saying no. We're not thinking outside the box.
Will, just before you move on to that next slide, is there a couple of examples of what has come up? Because I think there'd probably be a few people in the same boat that'd be maybe not willing to pop in a question there just yet, but thinking to themselves, what is it that I can do not to say no? Is there something that I can put in place right now that I can do over and above what we've just discussed?
Yeah, definitely. So, look, I think that there's probably a few things that I'll touch on in other slides, going into more detail about these things. But just having different options for your customers available, wait jobs, express servicing, having sufficient replacement vehicles, picking up and dropping off customers, pick up and dropping off their cars if needed, just doing whatever it takes to get those customers into the door and deal with you. I think a lot of people are probably being a lot more flexible at the moment. A lot of people are seeing, a lot of dealerships are seeing a heavy reduction in their service customers. I'm personally not here, but a lot of dealerships are, and they're probably starting to kind of work with their customers in these ways a lot better. But it's nothing groundbreaking, you know. We all know what essentially deep down we know what we should be doing, but maybe it's seems a bit too hard to some. So I know that a lot are not doing it. I do call around and just make inquiries as a customer to certain other workshops, and I'm amazed at how little they are offering.
Great. All right. Thanks, Will. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's answer some of these questions. And tip number 2.
No worries at all. So, all right, this one might sound a bit fluffy to a lot of you. It's just pretty simple. Kind of fits in with the team culture, but I thought I'd touch on it as its own little tip. So we need to inject positivity and optimism into our service departments. So in order to be successful, if you want to run a busy workshop and for this to work, you need to have a very positive outlook as a leader. So service manager, workshop controller, they have to lead by example and be positive about the challenges and how you're going to overcome those challenges. So I find that you know, a lot of senior staff members in service departments are quite negative, and it's like a bit of a cancer that spreads through the whole workshop, and it creates a very much a negative attitude and an opposite to a can-do attitude. And you know, things that should be reasonably easy to do, they just don't get done because all of the whole team seem to be putting all their energy into why we can't do things. You know, like, no, we can't handle more than 30 cars a day. We can't do more than 20 services a day, or whatever it may be. Instead of focusing on what we need to change and how we can do these things, there's so much energy being put into why we can't. So that can be very challenging, especially if you're running a busy workshop. People are kind of often stretched to their limit. You spend your day putting out spot fires and problem solving, and it is hard to keep positive attitude because it's very difficult. You're under the pump as a service manager. You're under the pump quite a lot if you're running a busy shop. So I think it's worth noting that we definitely need to inject our team with a positive attitude and get this part of our culture of the service department. It needs to be driven by senior management. So,
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree with that more, Will. I totally agree. Like I come from the health and lifestyle, so I'm a coach, and one of the things that I pride myself on is my energy levels, and I know that's why I continue to get booked. In general, I'm a pretty energetic person, but anyone that isn't energetic can actually take on those traits. You can walk into an office and be doom and gloom, or you can have a smile on your face and you can create some hype and some energy that wasn't there before. So do you want to stand out and do you want to make a difference now, or do you want to sit back and live under a dark cloud? So I totally agree.
I'm glad. It's exactly right. So I thought it might sound a bit fluffy to a lot of people and like, what's this guy talking about? But I see it as really important, and it's something that's often missed and overlooked. Doesn't get the attention it deserves.
Yeah, so, smile can change someone's mood immediately. I've seen it many, many times over. So I like it. Favorite.
Beautiful. Good. All right. So moving on to our third one here, and it's probably one of my favorites. So we really need to continually reassess our demand and our capacity in our service departments. All right. So now, just to clarify, demand is obviously the amount of customers that really we're able to get in and able to service, and the demand that's out there for our business. And then the capacity is how much can we handle? how much can we do? So yeah, this is probably one of the most common issues I've come across in my experience, and definitely the easiest way to increase your gross profit and of course your net profit and bottom line profit end of the month. So you know, I find service departments often settle on a certain amount of cars and hours that they book by. So you know, they'll think, okay, yeah, we've been doing this for 20 years or whatever, 5 years. We're doing 50 cars a day. That's where it's at. That's where it's going to stay, and that's what we do. Now, that's all good and well, but it has to be continuously reassessed. So we need to see what our booking lead times are, and we need to see. In my opinion, if you're booked out for a week or two, you definitely you really need to reassess your demand, your capacity, sorry, straight away. So you'll definitely be sending customers to your competitors, to the independents, to other dealerships. You're sending them away, and you won't really know about it, to be honest. So yeah, in my opinion, people won't wait 3 weeks to come in and get their car serviced. I'd be lucky to wait 2, even 1. You won't necessarily know how many people you're sending away, because you as a service manager and senior manager, you're not speaking to the majority of your staff, majority of your customers on day-to-day basis. So look, especially, and this is especially the case for more urgent work, so diagnostic and repair work, which we as dealerships, we prefer service work. It's much easier, quicker, less headaches involved. So that's what we want. So, but we can't really pick and choose, in my opinion, your work mix. When we're talking about a diagnostic or a repair job, if it's not going to be seen the next day or 2, they're going to find someone who will, because they need their car, they need to drive it. So this is pretty important. We really need to continuously reassess our demand and capacity. Now, don't just look at one busy week or one busy month. You know, we've got to look at it year round. But if you're booked out year round for a week or 2 in advance, you're definitely not running to your true potential. You're definitely sending customers elsewhere. We don't want that to be the mentality of all your staff, that you're too busy. So, and the other thing is, no one will ever really know the true demand until they start taking every opportunity in. So until you open up the floodgates, so to say, of, yeah, tow in, yep, come in tomorrow. Look, I might not look at it straight away, but leave it with me. Until you start having that type of behaviour in your service department, you don't know where your true volume is going to end up. You might be amazed. It might be a 50 car a day workshop, and you might end up having potential to be 70, 75 cars just by doing that. It's going to increase your retention. It's going to increase. It's essential. That is definitely, in my opinion, the most important and most commonly neglected areas that I see in service departments.
And so measuring that would be, I would imagine, would be one of the most important things to do. Like, how are you measuring the demand and the capacity? I mean, that goes for anything, for customer satisfaction. So getting specific and recognizing the demand and the capacity, and being able to then do something with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and the easiest way to measure it is try to keep your booking lead time, so the wait for anyone to come in, try keep it as low as a day or 2. And if it is 2 days out and someone really needs to come in today, get them in. So otherwise you're not gonna end up getting them in a lot of cases.
And I think too, I love that you just said that. So getting specific there, and not feeling embarrassed about, if your plate's full, to hand it on and get somebody else to do it. Because if that person is sitting there more than that sort of 24-hour, 2-day period, you're right, they're going to go elsewhere. I mean, I would. I'm a customer.
100%.
I would go elsewhere. So don't feel obliged to have to handle everything yourself. Hand it on to somebody in the team that can do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. All right. Let's
so
move on
we'll move on to our next one here, which is what have I skipped one? Flexible. All right. So so this is just probably kind of similar to, not saying no to your customers really, but so it might be a bit of a double up, but it's more about the specifics of what we need to be doing. So we need to be flexible. We need to adapt to the needs of our customers. Like I was saying in the first tip, we need to change with the times and provide the services and provide the services that our customers are requesting and wanting and needing. All right. So it's amazing how many service departments still follow the one process. Not a lot do. There's been a lot of work on this over the last 5 years, in my opinion, in the industry. But we've got this mentality of drop it off at 8 o'clock and pick it up at 4:30. We'll see you at the end of the day. That does not suit a lot of people. It doesn't suit probably half of your customers. So we really need to accommodate our customers' busy schedules and lifestyles. Now, I'm sure everyone has heard of these things, and some of them are a bit challenging to implement. It isn't easy as it sounds, but it's essential that we do these things. So you got to have an express service option, wait job option throughout the day, through different periods of the day, scattered out. We can't expect all customers, like mums with young kids or people that are on the road for work and stuff. We can't expect them to leave their car with us all day just to suit what's easy for us. So we need to have these options available to them. We need to have.
Sorry, Will, I just jumped in there. But,
no, please.
I think there's lots of adapting going on right now, but I actually don't see it, even though in some instances we're having to put in a few more hours, or they might be a little different to what we were before. I think we're learning a new way of communicating with our service departments and our customers. And I see a lot of good having come out of this COVID experience. So whilst, yes, many of us have taken quite a great step backwards, this is showing us a new way of being able to connect. So we all learn different ways. Some of us are audible, others need to be touching and feeling. So I think if we can adapt, like you say, and offer our customers a range of different ways to communicate with us, they're not going to go elsewhere because we're going to be giving them several choices.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, the wait job express service options are a must. We need to also ensure you got enough alternative transportation. So loan vehicles, as we know them. So everyone's got them, but they often don't have enough of them. So a lot of people cannot come and drop their car in without a loan vehicle. And if you're looking after 80 cars a day and you've only got 10 loan vehicles, it's not enough. I think at least there's probably 25% of customers will expect, want, and demand a loan vehicle or replacement vehicle. So we need to ensure that we've got enough of them. Otherwise, that's another reason for them to go to one of your competitors.
We've just got a question from an attendee there as well, Will, that's pertinent to this point. Do you think the service department of the future will have extended opening hours to cater to the convenience of consumers and the busy schedules of consumers?
Yeah. Thanks for that question. Yeah, definitely. I definitely do. Now it's gonna rely on the demand that we actually see. I think that people are starting to hang on to cars a bit longer. So we are seeing, in my opinion, a good growth in service departments, especially as far as in dealerships. We're retaining them a lot better with cap price servicing, free servicing. And I think the demand is picking up over time, and extended hours is definitely something that I see as a great thing, and it will probably become more and more common, in my opinion. Some facilities that I've been at, it's been a bit of a challenge. I've needed it. At Mazda, we really needed it, but it's quite difficult to get council approval in certain facilities. So there's challenges there. But if you can do it, it's definitely worth trialing. So that would definitely make it easier. But if you can't do it, at least early drop off options for customers. After hours pickup, that's a way to work around it if you can't do it. That's what I've done in the past.
And I'll say just quickly too, Will, you mentioned having cars available. So I used to take in Queensland prior to moving to WA. I took my car to be serviced at Kmart Auto. And the reason why I stayed with them, even though I did have good service from another provider, I stayed with them because they always, whenever I would call, they'd say, Miss Cozier, we've got a car on standby for you. We know that you've got your daughter. I mean, it was actually getting to know their customers, and they had quite a customer base. So to have that personal service, there was no reason for me to go anywhere else. They treated me wonderfully. The smiles always when I walked in the door, and they always had a car there for me. And if they didn't on the occasion, they would make something else work, even where I had the general manager put his car in so that I could use it. Now, I'm not saying that that's something we have to do, but if we bet stretch in that capacity, we're going to keep them. Yeah.
No, definitely. Other things that I see as essential, especially throughout this period, but really always, you've got to have a valet service to drop your customers off and collect them when it's done. And by this, I mean one that works, not just put 10 people in a bus and drive around every suburb in Melbourne, and the poor person in the last drop-off has just gone for a 2-hour trip. We need to do something more, a personalised one where, if you have to put 2 people in a car together and they're going the same direction, that's okay. But even just using Uber to do, just drop off on the one person and pick them up when it's done. So that's important. And we need to pick up and collect vehicles if needed. It's definitely a common request. It's a pain. It's difficult. But one thing I'll say is everyone needs to involve their dealer principals and their sales departments and lean on them a little bit more. So with things like that, we can use them. There's manpower there ready for us to take and use. Because there's definitely periods in the sales department where there's not a lot going on, and we can use them instead of pulling a tech off the floor or something to go and do these things. So in my opinion, the real goal is to never lose a booking or a customer. Because they've found someone who will do these things. So you need to make sure that you're offering everything that your customers need.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
All right. Move on.
All right. So another big thing, I've always been a big believer of getting the whole team involved in the direction and the target. So, if your service manager's just holding it all to himself and taking the burden on his shoulders and not sharing it with the team, it's going to be a lot harder to achieve the goals that you're setting out. So whatever the target is, the whole team should know it, in my opinion, or especially the people who would be involved in achieving it. Basically productivity and efficiency, obviously that's something we're always looking at, and it's our bread and butter. We need to ensure we're sharing these results with our team, technicians and service advisors, because they play a part in it as well. Ensuring that our staff are efficient and productive is very important. I'm sure everyone does do that, but something we might not do enough is sharing it with all the staff, giving them the numbers and the figures, and putting it up on the notice board in the workshop or something.
Can I jump in there, Will? Because just something that popped up, because it's very relevant to this, and I think it might help some of our listeners today and viewers today, and that is that through this COVID experience, a couple of my team boards, what we've done is obviously, given that we couldn't coach out on the field, we had to come in and bring it virtual. So we meet once a week. I'm not saying this is what we all have to do here, but meeting once a week. And we have 20 people in our group, 19, and we meet virtually once a week. We set a time and you jump on Zoom. Now we're using a click medium today. You could use Zoom. So using the virtual platforms to jump on, and you literally can have a 5 or 10 minute discussion to get everybody up to speed, like you say, the direction and the target, and then everyone's on board. No one has to get in a car and drive somewhere, essentially, to be all on board and all on the same page, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's essential, and I think that we possibly don't do it enough in certain service departments, and even with things like gross profit and daily volume. But probably some people with gross profit, they might be a bit hesitant to share these numbers with certain staff. I think it's important that we do share it and let people know where they're going and the direction we're headed for that month. It's going to, in my opinion, make it a lot easier to achieve that goal. And the team essentially are the ones that are going to be getting there. So they really need to be across it and know what the goal is. Yeah. So that was it for that one. Just a quick one there. But moving on to the next one, it's team morale. So this is always it's a bit of a beast to try and tame the team morale one. So we always find it fluctuates so much and it requires constant attention. So it can be really challenging to keep your team morale high. It's impacted by so many variables. It can be especially hard to manage and keep in a good place when your team are being pushed to the limit for a few days or weeks on end, working really, really hard. You find that the team morale does start to slip, and it requires a lot of attention from the leaders in that team to keep it at a good standard. So the senior management, you need to speak to your staff daily, and not just on a professional level. So how the kids, what's happening, and how'd you go with that that trip you did last week or whatever. I think it's important to know your team and them to know you on a personal level and have that relationship. And then recognition as well. It goes a long way. So make sure you're showing recognition of all the achievements that your staff are making. So something simple as walking past saying, "Hey, Johnny, awesome job on that transmission, mate. You pumped that out in 4 hours. Mate, you're a gun." Or saying, "Hey, thanks for staying back last night. That customer, they really needed their car back, and I really appreciate you staying back." That's awesome. It's very important that we recognise each individual's achievements and efforts. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people will do team building activities. Go out and go play, go paintballing, or do some work dinner or something. That very important in my opinion. And it's a bit hard at this point. The kind of the dollars that we're spending, we're all tightening up at the moment, considering the situation we're in. But moving forward, we definitely should have. It's very important to give back to the team. You get what you give, in my opinion, and just something even simple. Just put a lunch on once a week or once a month or something. A barbie, some pizzas. It definitely does help. And morale is very important.
Yeah, agree more.
So that was it for that one. And then moving on to the next slide. So CRM, or customer relationship management. Look, I think a lot of service managers don't give this the attention it deserves, because it's something that we do today, working now and today, and then we don't really see results for it until the customer's next service. So what we need to make sure we're doing is getting all the correct details, putting in a record of an estimate of when the next service is, have a system in place that works for contacting those customers when they're due for their next service. Otherwise, don't be so confident that they're just going to look at their service sticker and give you a call and book in with you, because they might have a Facebook ad for your competitor saying, $199 service, I'll go and do it there.
Before you move on too, do you have a specific thing that you do there at the dealership? Like, what is it that you do?
So we record our service cycles and put estimated dates in for the next service, and it's nothing high tech. We've got a team, a phone room team. They'll basically get into contact and they'll SMS, they'll email. It's imperative you have those obviously correct contact numbers and email addresses, and that they'll hound those customers until we get that booking, or until they tell us that they don't contact me anymore. it's brutal, but it works. The retention results are
and you,
very
with
good.
that, the messaging is usually around, your service is coming up in 2 months' time, or you're due for a service, and it's just a matter of just hitting those key milestones with those customers that you're trying to retain.
Yeah, exactly, and it's if a lot of people don't remember, so it's a good reminder for them, and our customers are. They rely on our reminder. Essentially, it's a good system. It works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can outsource it. There's a number of different ways to do it, but essentially, as long as you've got a system in place that's going to ping and notify you when to contact certain customers and remind them, and someone's there to do it, and then you're on the right track.
And maybe. If not now, at the end of this presentation, if any of our viewers have those question-specific platforms to use, maybe we can chime in and we can share those, because I know that there is some departments and service centres that struggle to even select the right platform to be able to service their customers in that way, so to speak. Yeah,
definitely. So I haven't put any specifics in here, but more than happy to discuss it with anyone that's curious about what we do.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Just simple one here. Just get involved. Lead by example. I think it's very important that we do this as service managers, leaders. Your staff are going to respect you a hell of a lot more if you can show them that you're not afraid of getting your hands dirty. Do it yourself with them, and set the standard by doing that. Show them you can do it. You're happy to do it. It's not that hard, and that's everything. Serving customers, servicing cars, jump in the car wash, whatever needs to happen. You get involved and do it yourself if they need a helping hand. They really will appreciate it, and they see it as, if the service manager or whatever workshop controller, or if they're happy to do it, then I better better do it myself. So offer help, or even better, just jump in and help them when you see that they need it. Don't just sit back in your office with your feet on the desk and reply to your emails casually while everyone's around you's drowning. It sounds funny, but I think I know it happens a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. So I used to hate watching my service manager when I was a service advisor reading the bloody newspaper. I was going to choke him with it. So so that's something I felt was definitely worth noting. And then here we go. Obviously, everyone knows this. We've got to maximise opportunity of additional work, right? So it's a big thing for us. It's a big income that we get out of additional work on services and repairs. So I'm sure everyone knows this and focuses really heavily on this. However, I'm sure we've all been caught out as well. I did, to be honest, just yesterday we had so many cars in, and we didn't have time to do the additional work. So it's pretty frustrating when you're saying that we'll have to rebook for certain things, and you end up losing sales over it. So we need to have a strong process from the ground up, from the technicians process, reporting all the additional work, to selling it, and then also have capacity to actually do those jobs. It's all good. It's all well and good. Yeah, great. Had 80 cars in yesterday, for example. I didn't, but that's just an example. And then, you couldn't do all the brake pads and, tyres and wheel alignments that were reported. So that's lost sales there. So you're better off, in that particular sense, having 60 or 75 cars, and you'll be able to do all the additional work, and you'll end up making more money. So, I'm not saying push work it back to so that you have capacity to do it. I'm saying we really need to focus on our capacity to ensure we have enough to fit all the cars in, also do the additional work, and make sure we have a good kind of attitude around selling additional work, and just getting those over the line, because essentially you're not ripping anyone off. We're just letting the customer know what's required and asking them if we want to do it. And another big thing, which I'm not just saying this because this is through TyreConnect, but don't neglect tyres. Tyres are a bit of a pain for a lot of service departments, a bit of a pain point. They're hard. Techs don't necessarily like changing tyres and doing wheel alignments, but it's essential we do them, because at the end of the month, that 10 or 15 grand gross that you weren't going to have before is there, and then also you're not sending your customers to your competitor to get the tyres replaced, and then having the tyre shop canning your technicians' workmanship trying to win over your customers. You really need to keep this in-house and just make it a one-stop shop. So a lot of it happens everywhere. You hear the advisor on the phone, service advisor saying, yeah, you need brakes, you need this, you need that, but you need some tyres. Do you have someone that does your tyres? Do you normally get them? So, okay, yeah, you can take them there. That's fine. We'll just do the other work. You don't want that happening. You want to keep it all in-house. They need tyres, get them done there.
Yeah.
And
I think you that was great that you brought up the tyre aspect, but I think it's we can let our customers know that we have that service, but we can also, 100%. In the way that we speak, the language that we speak, it's not to have an option. It's like it's time for tyre change. It's time to get the tyres done. You don't need to do it in an abrupt way. I play on words myself sometimes, but if I want a customer to actually commit to something, it's about putting those words in the right place and letting them know
that's right.
Not only are we going to service and give you the best service, but you actually need to do it right now. And
you don't do it in a half-hearted manner. You go in wholeheartedly expecting that to be done, because a lot of service departments will think, oh yeah, they probably won't do their tyres. I'll half have a crack at selling them. But the fact is, the customer needs tyres. No one wants to risk their family driving around on bald tyres. They need them. So as long as you're competitive in price, they're going to do it with you. If you can do it on the day, have them in stock ideally, that's the goal. It is challenging, more challenging than your regular service work, but it's definitely essential. Just move on to our final slide. I hope I haven't bored everyone too much. But
great. We're on time. You're doing a great job, Will.
Oh, good. Well, that's a good sign. So, look, numbers don't lie. Know your numbers. A lot of service managers will go, those bean counters, always looking at all the numbers, and it's all rubbish. And I get that, but you definitely need to know your numbers. So we need to monitor our gross profit percentages. We need to monitor our productivity and our efficiency. We need to truly understand these numbers. Gross percentages on all different work types, retail, warranty, internal. You need to understand your retention figures, understand your expenses. If you don't know these numbers, it makes it harder to plan and find areas and gaps in your department and where you need to improve or where you can improve. So, and especially I see a lot of service managers, which is a good thing, obviously, to reduce expenses. They focus really heavily on reducing expenses. That's all good and well, but I encourage everyone to not focus too hard on reducing expenses at the expense of reducing your gross profit. So we need to make sure we've got the manpower, we've got the facilities, we've got everything at hand so we're not missing any opportunity. And we don't want to reduce our expenses so far that we can't actually perform the way we should be. Having the right customer service results and satisfaction results, and the manpower and the productive and unproductive to provide everything that we need to provide. If anyone is not 100% sure on certain figures and numbers and what they mean, don't be afraid to speak to your financial controller or your DP. You need to find out, and you need to work out what it's all about. So a lot of groups do this very well. I've been involved with AHG. They do this very well. I learn a lot through them. and it's essential in my opinion. A lot of places still don't understand these figures that we rely on.
And that point actually builds into quite a few of the questions that we've had submitted. So people have, thanks for your participation there. There's quite a few questions that we've got sitting there. So we'll jump into the Q&A session. We're about 47 minutes in, so got a few more minutes to go. Let me just get question answer mode up here. Okay.
Good. There seems to be some really great questions there surrounding our times as they are now, customer service in these restricted virtual times. So I'm loving some of those questions.
Sorry guys, bear with me. I'll just get them up on the screen. Okay. Okay, so number one from Ricky. Do you want to just read that out, Will? Yep, Vonnie.
Yeah,
I'll read them out for you, Will. So when do you see the largest drop-off in service retention? And do you have anything in place to migrate this?
So basically, after 5 years is probably where you really start to lose your customers to the independence in dealership. Now, to mitigate this, we pretty much, or I personally pretty much put into place all of the things that we've discussed. So, don't say no to your customers. If someone's where are they going to go next? They're going to go somewhere. So they're going to some Ultra Tune or something for a $189 service. So I'll compromise with them. I'll tell those customers, I'll say, look, contact me when you're due for your next service. I can assure you we're providing a far superior service to our competitors. We'll come and talk to me. We'll work out a price that you're happy with. I want to retain you in my customer base. I don't want you going elsewhere and getting an inferior service. We need to be flexible. We need to offer more than what our competitors are offering. We need to do it better than our competitors do, and we need to earn their trust. And having those relationships with our customers will ensure that you're seeing cars that are 10, 15 years old. Still, they're coming back to you because they rely on you, they trust you. You're providing them with everything they need, and there's no reason for them to go elsewhere. Whereas if they're paying a premium amount and they don't see that they're getting any more at a dealership than what they do at Joe Blow up the road, that's when they'll start to drop off.
Brilliant. All right, that next question is there, George.
Yep. Just trying to pick.
The recent change.
It's a good one.
Yeah. All right, so this one's from Damien. So Damien asks, are you seeing a shift in demand for value for money? Entry-level products up against genuine original equipment?
So I think he's talking, actually, it's not just tyres. So a focus on tyres, but also other aftermarket products as well.
Yeah, so I think that, what Damien's saying is, are we seeing probably people wanting to go for the maybe aftermarket products rather than the genuine products? And exactly. It's always something that has been raised in my experience. And to be honest, look, depends from manufacturer to manufacturer, but a lot of manufacturers have got some very expensive replacement parts, brakes and everything, globes and suspension components. They're really expensive, and it makes it hard to compete with your competitors in the independent scene. So what you need to do, in my opinion, is offer the aftermarket products as well, and then the genuine, and then you sell the value of the genuine. I am definitely seeing a a demand. It probably is increasing, really, especially in the current climate. People don't have a lot of money to spend. They don't want to spend a lot of money. They're being very cautious. Yeah, I feel like there is an increase in inquiry as to why is that so much more. You know, it's $400 for brake pads. That's crazy. You know, they might say. So this is where you need to be flexible, and if they're concerned about that and they're looking at aftermarket products, then we definitely should be offering that service if that's what they're looking for. We can definitely weigh the two up and say, this is your genuine, this is your aftermarket. Your call. Genuine is a superior product. Aftermarket's going to do the job. You can make the decision. Then you're retaining them. But yeah, I feel like there is increasing demand in my experience for that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Will. All right, we've got another question here. This one's from Stephen. So, do you think the service department of the future will have extended opening hours to provide more convenience?
Oh, I've already asked that. That's the wrong one.
Oh, we did. I did.
Thank you.
We did, and I think we certainly will.
Okay,
and
here we go. There's a few questions from Stephen on that one. I'll just put the next one up.
That's great. Thanks, George. So how do you get customers to become focused on value of what they get done in the service department, not just cost on price?
Yeah, that's definitely a hard one. So when you're trying to sell a genuine minor logbook service, and you're getting other customers comparing you to the independents that might be much cheaper, we definitely need to raise everything that we provide and offer. So all of these convenience services, replacement vehicles, express plate jobs, come and sitting out. It's a very nice lounge. Have a barista made coffee. We need to definitely explain that to them. A lot of customers don't really care, and they're more concerned about what the difference is in the workshop. So, if that's the case, then we let them know that, and it's true that these days the technology in cars means that you really need to be brand specific as far as who's working on the car, and know that vehicle. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to diagnose and kind of do the same standard of quality of work if they're just experiencing general vehicles. So it's definitely a tough one. With Hyundai, for example, there's a number of things that Hyundai do which add heaps of value, like free roadside assistance, updated for another 12 months, and the maps, satellite navigation gets updated as part of the service. Obviously, all manufacturers will be able to sell the value of connecting the genuine diagnostic tool to ensure everything's in order, and all of the programming is updated and up to the latest versions. But yeah, it varies brand to brand, but it's definitely something that we have to focus on, because there's a lot of inquiries as to from customers as to exactly that.
Great, thanks, Will. That's good.
Perfect.
That was a hard question, but that was well answered. Thank you.
G'day, everybody. How are you?
Great.
Hello, good, thanks.
How you been, Will? All right. And Bonnie, how you going? I've got a question for you, Will. Actually, one that I'd like to ask you. As far as your staff are concerned, what emphasis do you place on training regarding currently, obviously navigating through the current COVID-19 situation and post-COVID, in relation to providing the customer with the right experience, so your retention actually is able to stay where it is and potentially increase thereafter?
Yeah. So look, that's training is ongoing. So we need to have regular meetings about pain points and customer pain points, and what we're doing that's not fitting and suiting our customers. We need to have regular meetings, discuss these things in a group, get the buy-in from the staff themselves. They have contact with this firsthand, and they experience this firsthand. So you really need to involve them and get their opinions on it all. But it's constantly evolving. So we're always working on this and working through our pain points and saying, all right, guys, this is not working. We're getting heaps of customers that are complaining about how hard it is to drop their cars off. So we need to work out a new system for it. All right. So what we're going to do from moving forward, how about we move all the cars in as soon as they arrive out the back and have a nice open car park for everyone to arrive in, for example. And then obviously share that with the whole team. Anyone who's not present at the meeting, send an email out. This is the new process, and move forward in that sense. So we tackle these. I personally tackle these things one by one. I'm sure probably a lot of service managers will do the same.
I think we've got time for one more question. I'll just put it on the screen.
Good. Yeah. So thanks, George. This one is from Stephen. Good. Stephen's got some great questions today. All right. So
Thanks,
how do you measure customer satisfaction of the service department experience?
Yeah. So Stephen, we measure this through essentially a satisfaction survey that our customers get sent. This is sent by the manufacturer. I'm pretty sure all manufacturers do this now. They send them a survey with a sequence of 10, 15 questions. And it breaks down every aspect of their experience, pricing, convenience, the manner of the customer service consultants they spoke to, the fix it right first time on the vehicle for a concern they may have. So we get all of these. We encourage our customers to fill these in and do these and complete these surveys, and we monitor it daily and very, very closely at the end of the month, going through all the comments and all of the numbers that you get given. Depending on how they answer those questions, you get given you'll always get given a number, out of 100. We monitor it, break it down, look at each individual service advisor's scores, and then anything that's technician or workshop related, we'll share it with the workshop. So every manufacturer does this.
Just a really quick question with this one as well, because I've handed out some of these customer satisfaction surveys prior, and not always does everybody fill them out. So my question to you is, for those of your customers that do not complete the survey, is there another way that you make contact with them to find out what it is that they want and why they're coming back or not coming back?
So essentially what we do here at the moment is we'll send them all an email saying thank you very much for your business. I hope you had a pleasant experience, and it comes out from me. My signature's on the bottom. Please contact myself if you have anything that I can help you with, or if you have any concerns about your visit on the day. So that's the only other thing we do, and we do try and encourage returns.
That's great. Excellent.
Will, one final one from me, mate, if I can.
Mate.
With your driveway service, both at Doncaster Hyundai and Penfold Mazda, from a tyre perspective, now I am coming from tyres because it's more than tyres, but I'm going to come from tyres.
I expect nothing less, Frank.
Thanks, mate. But I just wanted to ask you, I mean, is it important for you from a service perspective that you're able to advise the client when they're dropping the vehicle off in the morning and try and sell the tyre there and then? Or is it just as important to follow up with a call and allow the client to drive off to their workplace?
So with what we do, we don't currently check it on the driveway. If you do driveway service, I'm not currently doing driveway service, and I couldn't do it at Mazda either. We didn't have it didn't work for our structure and our facility and the volume that we had there. The throughput was quite large, so it didn't work for us there. If you can do driveway service, I would definitely recommend it. So with Hyundai, we probably will move to driveway service in the near future, and definitely a great opportunity to inspect the tyres and some other parts of the car with the customer, so that we're all on the same page and we're looking at the same thing, and they understand where we come from when we call them and give them their price on their tyres. And it's definitely a good thing. We don't do it. We do the whole lot as part of the service. So my goal currently, and what it was at Mazda, high mileage vehicles, we want to try and get them started as soon as possible, early in the day, even if they're going out later in the day. the technician will quote up everything. We hit them once with the quote. We have the tyres on hand. We get the whole lot done while the car's on the hoist in just that one time on the hoist. It's hopefully all done and dusted. By the time it comes up the hoist, it's ready for the customer collect essentially. So there's less back and forth calling the customer for tyres and then calling them again with the additional work. So they got one figure of their $1 figure for everything that's required on the car. But I definitely think it's a great idea to do driveway service and go over the tyres of your customers. And yeah, like I said, we'll probably start doing that at Hyundai pretty soon.
Fantastic.
All right, so they were great. So hopefully many of you had your questions answered. And if we didn't happen to get to you because we're running out of time, we will definitely make sure we get in touch with you and answer those questions. I'm sure Will could answer a few more of those questions that come through along with the team from TyreConnect. I want to say too that we've got a winner for our $1,000 voucher from Kumho Tyres. So they were our sponsor for today. And this is a pretty big deal. So a $1,000 voucher is going to Ricky Singh, and Ricky is from the Essendon Mitsubishi. So well done, Ricky. You've just got yourself a $1,000 voucher, and thank you so much to Kumho for providing that voucher for us today. That's fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much. We'll be in touch afterwards, Ricky, to organise that voucher via email. So just a quick thanks again to Will for that session. That was really good. Some great insights shared there, and some really good Q&A as well. Thanks for Frank for providing some questions there. Just a quick look at the next episode that we've got, which is in 2 weeks' time. Mr. John Startari from Deloitte. He's going to be sharing some key data and insights from the contemporary period, so from this COVID-19 period, and how it's affecting the automotive sector, especially the dealership sector. So really excited for that. Watch out in your email inboxes as well as on our social pages on LinkedIn and on Facebook for your invite to that. So just a quick preview there. And that's the end of the session.